And we're live. So hello everybody. Sorry about that. We are really late. For some reason we're having issues with StreamYard. I had to call in my technical advisor from Arkansas, who turned in and fixed it for me. So hello Herf.
Hey man, and your technical advisor did a damn good job.
Yeah, he did. So I have no idea what caused that. I'm wondering if my mouse is fucked.
That would be such an odd thing.
Yeah. It would be really bad because I wonder actually if just the battery's going. No, there's plenty of power in it. Anyway, so how are you?
Not bad. It's
Good,
the end
good,
of the
good.
week, start of the weekend. It's Friday night. What's not to love?
Saturday morning, technically. Um,
Yeah.
so you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi folks, I'm Daniel. Or online friends and some friends in real life know me as Herf. Just a nickname that I've always had. Mostly because there was an awful lot of Daniels in my family, so I needed some way to separate myself out from them.
Okay, fair play. So we're going to belatedly say hello to everybody in the chat. And yeah, my mouse is fucked.
Hi chat, how are you all doing?
Let's see if I can fix this in any way. No, no.
How's it going, Angie?
Right, seem to be working now. So that's the fucking weirdest thing. So Joey, hi Joey. Joey's going live in a while doing the Weed Olympics, which is basically a bunch of people sitting around the table trying to get as stoned as possible. So
That sounds like Amsterdam.
yeah, a long time ago. So hello Angie. You know, hello Ali. You know some of these names because you've seen my chat. So
Oh yeah, I've been a lurker for a while.
yeah. Hello Dave. Dave still is the best single avatar. I love that flame guitar avatar.
Oh yeah, while I was backstage, I was able to properly see the background of this stream, and that is an
Mhm.
awesome image. If the folks don't normally get to see it because there's faces in front of it, you should show it to them at some point because that is a kick-ass picture.
Yeah, that's my new avatar basically.
I
Um,
like it.
yeah, I'll see if we can bring that up. So, hello again, Thrice. So, well, it's all jumping at all them perfectly safe airplanes, Thrice. It's just not a good idea. Let's see, Mr. Paul Wright Lawrence. Hello, Paul. It could be Mrs. Paul. Somebody's Mrs. Paul controls Mr. Paul's uh, channel. Let's see. There's Blake. Blake will be here. Blake's finally got a fucking job, which is
What?
unusual. Fucking bum. Hello, Mick T. Mick's the guy that did Robert's walking stick, the Viking team one.
Ah, that stick is excellent.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. So, let's see who else we got. Yeah, there's that wanker. I don't know who he is, but yeah, he's there. Let's see. Let me make sure I haven't missed anybody. It's weirdly there's 18 people watching. Hello, live chat. Oh, 19. We're up to 19. Um, hello, Kirsty. Yeah, so we're 5 minutes in. We've done fuck all, and there's 19 people watching, which is really unusual, especially because I haven't done this in months.
Fuck
Um,
yeah. I need to do a special shout out to Darkome, who's my brother. He's here to support us.
JV, who came and rescued me because for some reason I couldn't get the bloody thing to work. So, um, yeah, JV, I'll have to have a look, but I haven't done anything different than I've done before. So, um, we'll see. See. Oh, there you go. That's your brother then.
It is.
So
I
my
think he might even be dual devicing just to give us the extra view count.
all right, okay. Well, fair play. Although allegedly it goes by your IP address, so you can't
Uh,
when it comes to shit like that there. But it's not really important. I don't give a fuck. I'm not monetized. I'm not going to be monetized. I don't care. Um, so I think that's everybody we said hello to. So for those that you haven't, I know you've watched one or two of these, just in case anybody new. So it's 20 questions plus one. I'm going to ask you 20 stupid questions. Answer whatever you want to answer. If you don't want to answer something, just say I'm not answering that. You can lie the whole way through. You can tell the truth. Nobody really cares. Nobody's going to know. Um,
I
and
strongly value honesty and openness, so I'm going to
yep,
be doing my best to answer
yep,
all of
me
these.
too. But if there's something that you don't want to answer, you can just say I'm not answering that. Is the point? Because some of the questions, some of them are daft, some of them may be a bit more serious. So um, and that's it. But well, I mean, you know me, I'm for better or worse, I'm honest. You know what I mean? I'm not one to. I'll sometimes not give an opinion, but I don't. I don't lie. So I agree. Um and for anybody in the chat, if you want to put a question in, I'll mark it and I'll ask it at the end. So um so here we go. I'm just going to bring up the first question. Let me see. Yeah, I suppose I could show. I'm just gonna. Uh, I'm just gonna put that overlay up because you said right. Nobody can see it. So there we go. That's what's sitting behind us at the minute. So that's my new channel logo. So it
It's
is what it is.
the angry look on the face that really makes it. You're an
Yeah,
angry
because
lumberjack and you're okay.
I literally just because I'm messing about with the AI that I put in, a fat angry bloke with long grey hair drinking a glass of whiskey, and that's one of the options. So I'll put my ticker up. So welcome to 20 questions plus one. First question, one we ask everybody: what's your favorite YouTube channel?
Um, I don't really have a favorite. I just kind of jump around. I get infatuated with different subjects at different times. So at the moment, it's Neil deGrasse Tyson's Star Talk. It's a series that's been going for years. He just gets on different guests and they talk about different elements of astrophysics and space discovery, and it's just awesome.
Okay,
So at the moment, that's my favorite, but I don't really have a long-term favorite.
okay. So it's not the square table degenerates or anything like that. No.
Sadly, not.
Yeah, because Joey's already too high. So, um, but
We've
yeah, and Paul says it should be him. So, uh, so yeah,
we've
that's
we've got to be careful
that's our
with Joey.
standard. What's that?
If we've got to be careful with Joey. If we even mention weed, he's got to go and have a hit.
Well, yeah. Well, he's going live shortly after this because I mean he did. It's weird. He normally goes live way earlier than me, and then JV or I would normally follow on after him. But for some reason, he scheduled it well at the same time, and then he's put it back an hour because surprisingly enough, the stoners aren't there yet. So,
What a surprise!
what a surprise! Yeah, So, okay. So, question two then. So this we're starting to get serious now. How
I'm
would you
here for it.
survive a zombie apocalypse?
Oh, this is a plan that constantly keeps me entertained while I'm trying to go to sleep. So I'll think about what I would do if the zombie apocalypse hit, where if I was at this point in my daily routine or at this point in my weekly routine, and how I would survive getting from where I was there to my end goal, which is a disused waterworks, just on the outskirts of Carrickfergus with 12-foot high metal security fencing and a couple of very, very solid brick buildings and enough land out the back to either keep animals or grow some crops. And it's just far enough away from a population center that it shouldn't be overrun by zombies. Um, so yeah, my entire zombie apocalypse plan is based on getting supplies, getting the hell out of Dodge wherever I am, and getting to that disused waterworks because with a very small amount of effort, the water can be opened and fresh water. Although I'm not sure how fresh zombie apocalypse water will be, but we'll
Hmm.
find out when we get there.
Yeah. So how are you getting to Carrick from your house?
Driving, I'll have to liberate a vehicle.
You do have your license now, don't you?
I have a provisional license and I know perfectly well how to drive. I just
Yeah.
don't do it legally. I don't do it illegally either. I just choose not to drive. I'm very fortunate that I've been able to set up my life that I just don't need to.
Yeah. Well, look, you and I talked about this when you were threatening to do lessons and all, and I was one of the ones who went, "Don't do it. It's a complete waste of money if you don't need it, and you don't need it." Um, Although it is getting to the point where it's going to become even more expensive to drive in the UK because of the cunts sitting on our country. They're threatening to just tax us off the road at the next uh, budget. So which is ridiculous, but sure, it is what it is. Um,
There's an odd amount of corporate profiteering going on at the moment, and it all seems to be based around the stuff that people really practically need to have in their lives,
yeah.
like electric, gas, oil, car, every kind of insurance that you need for mortgages and things like that. It's odd. I haven't seen such corporate profiteering. It's kind of scary.
See, it's because of the green issue. People think they can do anything they want. I'm saving the planet. We're going to tax you and tax you and tax you. Yeah, because that'll fix it. We'll just tax everybody. And then there is an argument that there are certain people that want us to. I mean, the World Economic Forum famously said, and then said that didn't said, you will own nothing, but you'll be happy. They don't want you having your own car. They don't want you having your own house. They don't want you owning anything. They don't want you, and that's why they're trying to drive you off. It's one of the main things. They're trying to get you off the road, because you shouldn't have your own car. Although all the politicians, all the billionaires that are telling you all this, it's all hypocrisy of the highest order. Yeah, the Great Reset. There's exactly it's the Great Reset, and people can say it's conspiracy theory, but the World Economic Forum, and I've been talking about it for fucking years, and it's nonsense. I don't mind. I would use public transport if I could use public transport easily, but you know where I work, it then becomes 2 bus journeys each way, which means a 15-minute drive becomes an hour each way. Providing everything works, and it's just nonsense.
And the worst thing about public transport, you have to deal with other people.
Well, yeah, fuck that.
Other people are the worst.
Yep, absolutely. Although the only thing is, I think what I'll have to say is, if it gets to the point where it's so expensive to drive, I'm just gonna say to work. I'm gonna have to work from home more. I can work remotely, and
I
okay.
think a lot of people are going to be in that position eventually,
See, but
where if companies expect you to have a vehicle to drive to the place of work, then they're going to have to start providing them to more people.
yeah. But even at that company vehicles aren't the perk they once were. They're still quids in. They get a nice car. They pay a tax and all of that. It's just not as much of a benefit as it once was. But I mean, I'll be honest. My firm is pretty good. My boss is really good, and I'm happy with stuff like that. Um, but they have been trying to push us back into the office more and more, because a lot of the firms have realized that some people sit at home and do fuck all, and everybody gets tired with that same push, which is a shame. I've always been the sort of guy, give me the work to do and I'll get it done. And I don't need then my boss, a boss, to stand on my shoulder going, have you done that yet? Have you done that? Have you done that? So it doesn't matter to me whether I'm sitting here or sitting in the office and work.
Yeah, that kind of management is very unhealthy in that style. If you get your work done early and you have a couple of extra hours at the end of the day,
Yeah,
the only thing you've done is earn yourself more work because you'll have someone looking over your shoulder and saying, "Why aren't you doing anything?"
absolutely.
That micromanagement is unhealthy.
Yeah, there's some people can work from home for sure, no self motivation. Yeah, he's exactly right. I say I have a body of work that has to get done. It just has to get done, so I do it. So, but unfortunately, some people think that if you're working at home, you're actually just not working, and for some people, it's possibly true. So, um, and yep, Joey's talking about people's tits again, so fair play. Um, yeah, Joey, I'm gonna mark that. That's a really good question. So, one for later on. Um,
I'm trying hard not to read, so I
yeah,
don't like formulate answers to these things ahead of time.
okay. So question 3: what has been the best experience of your life?
The best experience. It'll have been almost a decade ago now. Being in Iceland, out in the ice fields in the early hours of the morning, and standing underneath the northern lights as they moved and shifted and changed colors above me.
Yeah,
It was a bucket list item that I'd been aiming for years, and the moment didn't let me down. It was glorious. Um, to have something so bizarre and colorful and pretty just hanging in the sky, it was wonderful. I
yeah,
would do it
and
again.
you got lucky there. Because a lot of people travel to see it, and then it doesn't happen, and then they get pissed and they complain at the staff and all the rest of it. Um, so did you get photos?
I did, although I didn't have. You need to set up your camera in a very specific way.
Ah,
The
right.
long exposure to capture the light. So I do have a picture. It just looks like one green ribbon across the
Ah,
sky,
right. Yeah,
but
yeah. It's
that is
hard. You need that. You need that really slow exposure on
yeah.
your camera and all because it's dark. There's not an awful lot of light, and the camera has to be perfectly static as well. So it's not something I've done with my camera yet. I should really set mine up at some point and try and take a picture. I've got, quite a good camera there. Should mess about with it more. But no, God, that's cool. So there is somebody that normally be in chat would be surely your highlight would be when you met him, but thankfully he's got a fucking job at last. So uh, no, Kurt, I didn't know you'd been there. I think for me it would be either the first time I went to Anfield. Um, I know you're not a football guy, but I flew over on my own as soon as I started working because none of my mates were really into football yet, or none would travel. And I got to see the Cop, the old proper standing Cop, um, before they pulled it down and made it all seated.
What's a cop? Because
Well,
you're
the
not talking
Cop
about a.
is right. The Cop is it was the standing area in Anfield. It's called the Span Cop. It's one of the most famous football stands in the world, arguably the most. And it used to be all standing, but after Hillsborough, every stadium went all seated. So I went over to see it, and you sat there, and I was sitting thinking, oh, it's not what it's cracked up to be. Before the match, all the Leeds fans were singing like mad, and then you felt it before you heard it. It's like a big rumble, like an avalanche of sound coming towards you, and then it just because you had 20 odd thousand people in it. So once they started, it was a wall of sound, and it was fantastic. Um, So oh, it's brilliant. So and Freaky, if you're watching, you can comment. Feel free because with 20 people watching, and Freaky might be watching. So um, but hello Vanessa. So uh, okay.
How old were you when you went over to Anfield the first time?
First time I'd only started working, so probably about 18 or 19, maybe 19, I suppose. Um, I just went over on my own. First time flying as well. Actually, it was a big deal for me. First time traveling anywhere really. First time flying anywhere, went somewhere on my own. And you know me, I'm not good with people. I'm not good, I'm not like go and sit in the bar and everybody will talk to me. And people here think I talk a lot, and I do here because I'm comfortable here with these guys. But and we see me around the poker table. Somebody tell them to shut up. It's different because I'm comfortable. But put me in a situation, put me in a bar where I don't know people, and I'm just not. So it was a big deal for me to get on a plane and fly to Liverpool on my own and get from the airport and at that age and all the rest of it. So
Yeah, that's a whole load of firsts to work out. And most people, when they go traveling like that, they would do it with someone else and they would have someone to rely on and a bit of a backup and support. So to do
yeah,
it by yourself, hell yeah.
I just wanted to see Anfield before they pulled the cop down, basically. So um, and it was just fantastic. So it was a lot of time. Hello, Gaffa. Um, so, okay, question 4. If you could kill one person without any consequences, who would it be?
Oh my. It's not that I can't think of anyone, it's trying to rapidly reduce the list to one person.
No. Hello, Tom. Yeah. So while you're thinking there, Joey's just taking the piss. Herf looks like he's ready to destroy the Death Star.
Does it have to be someone alive now, or can I go back into the past and kill someone?
Honestly, it's a bullshit question. So whatever you want.
I would
On a
like.
lighter note, this happened. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I've just got an email from the lottery saying I've won a prize again. This happened the last time I was live, and I promised if I won big money, I'd spend it all myself. Um, and but I can't tell. And it was only I only won £2.50 last time. It's probably the same, but I could be a multimillionaire. So if I disappear from YouTube, everybody knows I've either died or have won millions. It'll be one or the other. Anyway, sorry.
So you've won the lottery today, and tomorrow is premium bonds draw day. Although it might be Monday because they don't normally do it on a Sunday. But yeah, 2 lotteries in a very short space of time.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll talk about the premium bonds some other time.
So the person I would kill, I would go back in time and assassinate Reagan before he became president. Like right before he became president. Um, I it's hard for me to think of someone that has had such a massive impact so negatively on the world as Reagan's economic policies did, and we're still feeling the after effects of them today, and that horrible fucking phrase of trickle down economics is still in the vernacular. It's still being thrown around. It's still being used as justification for less tax on the wealthy. It's just a horrible set of principles that were brought into the public consciousness and have just clung on despite every bit of evidence to the contrary, showing that they just didn't work. They didn't do any good for the nation. And I
Well,
chose Reagan because him and Thatcher were like 2 peas in a pod, and Thatcher very much took from the Reagan handbook and then started implementing the same kind of policies here.
see,
Uh,
Thatcher's my all-time favorite politician, and Reagan would be up there because I disagree with everything you've said, but I'm not going to have a political debate here. I absolutely think taxing the rich just absolutely does not work. It just everybody's to pay for sure, but taxing the rich just doesn't work. I was Miss Piggy. I was wondering when she'd turn up. Hello, Miss Piggy. Taxing the rich is a commie way to be running a country, and all it does, it drives the money out of the country. It's just every time they do it, there's already a load of billionaires have left, the UK, and if they leave the UK, they're not generating jobs and wealth for anybody else.
that's been proven to not be true.
No,
Even rich people have local connections and families that want to stay in an area, so they
yeah,
tend
I
to stay
know.
where their family's based.
No, but they take their money out of the country. I'm not saying they physically, but they move their country into their money into other countries. But
Let's face it, they've always moved their money to the place where they're going to incur the lowest amount of tax on it.
yeah, but but when they have it in this country, it benefits the country more than it being in moving it from here to France or from here to Germany or from here to so anyway. But like I say, that's a debate for another. We're definitely not going to sit and argue politics all night because we'll be here about 8 in the morning. So okay. So this would be more up your alley. It's the first I've asked this question. So, um, do you think AI will lead to the end of the world?
Yeah, because
Okay.
AI is being taught by people,
Hello, Trina.
and people are showing that, sorry, the people making corporate decisions are showing that they don't have a stake in the well-being of planet Earth. They will always choose profits over global sustainability. So if we teach AI how to behave like us, how to make decisions like us, then yeah, AI will help lead us towards the end of the world because we'll have taught it to do exactly what we want it to do, which is make decisions that we can just say, yeah, okay, I can see the thought process behind that. Let's do that. It's just another way of trying to segregate responsibility. The AI told me to do it, so I went with it. Why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I, I think, or when Golf says maybe in 250 years, I think it will eventually. Because it's not that I believe that Terminator was a documentary and not just a movie, but I think at some point AI will just work out. I can fix all sorts of problems by doing X, Y, and Z, and it's going to take over. It's going to come to the point where our dodgy programming, because you look at the AIs now, even just the likes of Chat GPT, if you ask certain questions, it's giving a completely biased answer. You can ask the same question about two different people, two different races, two different sexes, two different things, and on one answer it'll go, you can't ask that. You can't say this about insert class here, and you can ask just flip the race, and it'll give and that's all down to the people programming instead of just going yes, no, maybe, whatever. So we are already programming massive bias into it. So, but I think eventually it's going to take over. I really do. It's been used for way too much already. I just don't think that um it's not advanced enough yet. But at some point it's going. I mean, you think about how much technology's evolved in our lifetime. I don't think there's ever been such a rapid pace of development.
Agreed. When we were kids, mobile phones were briefcase sized and would have been used
Yeah,
by a very small number of people. And now we've seen the massive implementation of computers and smartphones, and the world has changed so much just in our lifetime.
yeah, yeah. It's weird. I mean, we have now more computer powers in that than NASA had when they sent the Apollo, for the Apollo programs, and then some. It's yeah, it's scary. I mean, like I don't care. I mean, as long as I get the 4 minute warning, I mean, 4 minutes is enough. Yeah, I could do some damage in 4 minutes before the nukes land. So
Some damage to what or who?
it depends. I used to have a much more attractive neighbor. I would damage her, but she's gone now. So, um, so somebody has to do it. Raven was not right. JV, you take that back. Yeah, we'll have to explain to you who Raven is at some point. Um, Raven's actually quite a cool guy. He's just nuts. But I quite like him. Because at the very least he's interesting, as opposed to some of the cunts that turn up on YouTube that are dullest people you'll ever meet in your life, and then they're everywhere. Raven, at the very least, is an interesting person. He has opinions, he has thoughts. They might all be nuts, but he has opinions and thoughts.
As
So,
long as I can keep him on the other side of a computer screen, hell yeah, I'd like to meet him.
and he does, yeah, yeah. We'll circle back around to that one then. So, um, uh, and just he pops up because we're talking stuff like this, because he genuinely thinks that there's portals opening up over the White House and aliens are coming through and stuff. So, um,
Ah, a learned man.
uh, so what's your biggest insecurity?
Oh, I've got the family curse of massive ears. So I've mostly grown into them now, but as a child, I had huge Dumbo ears that took me until I was mid-20s for them to be like properly sized compared to my head. So ears would be my biggest insecurity, but that's more based in childhood stuff because they were too big for me then and they're not
Okay,
too large for me now.
right. So what's your biggest insecurity now? Then not what scared you as a kid or as an adult. What would your biggest insecurity be? Apart from going back in
Oh.
time and having too big of ears, that doesn't count.
I I wouldn't say I'm a terribly insecure person now.
No, not everybody is, but
Um, I guess my biggest insecurity would be the fear of losing my job, becoming economically unviable, and then having to give up the lifestyle that I choose. Um, I don't want to be dependent on the state or someone else to provide for me. So lack of being able to provide would be my biggest insecurity.
okay. No, I think a lot of people have that. I thought maybe you'd worry about running out of skanks on Tinder to bang. Um,
Oh no, they're limitless.
I'll go back Thursday. Um, right, okay, fair enough. So again, I think this is the most serious one, and we've sort of touched on it. Are aliens real? And if so, have they visited us?
Um, just working on the math level, aliens are real. Have they visited us? No idea. I don't believe so. Um, but when I say aliens, that also includes microbial life, single-celled organisms, all the way up to a race that's potentially smarter than us. Um, Life happens. It just happens in the universe. We're not special. We're not unique. We see throughout the universe that patterns constantly repeat in any area that you have hydrogen and oxygen. It forms to make water. Like so, when amino acids are put under pressure and given a little bit of heat, they will create life. And we've seen this in geothermal vents deep under the ocean, where there's absolutely no sunlight, and there's whole new forms of life that aren't linked to the same beginnings that we have. So it's entirely different sects of life that have grown and been created under different conditions than us. It would be stupid to think that it doesn't also happen elsewhere in the universe, just purely because of how atoms work.
Okay. So, but I agree. I agree they exist just purely mathematically. There's so many, you know, even known Goldilocks planets already, and that's presuming a life similar to ours, um, as opposed to some other completely, I know we see on sci-fi silicon based, life forms and all, and that is you have to remember most science fiction actually is science theory.
Hmm.
That's where most of it's taken from. But I don't think they've been here yet. I certainly don't think they're probing people in Arkansas and fucking Alabama and stuff. And I always say, all them guys getting, banged in a cornfield that tried to blame it on aliens, when they sobered up. It's weird how all the sightings and all disappeared once people could run about with a camera, like this, as opposed to what used to be. So, but yeah, I'd be surprised. But the only thing is, I mean, the form of the life there was a discovery very recently about oxygen coming from a mineral in the bottom of the ocean, and that's a game changer. That might change how everybody, um, our basic understanding of everything. And I think that's the beauty of science because we think we know everything. Somebody could discover something next week that just means, yeah, see all them books, throw them out, I'll start again. And I love that sort of shit. So, um,
I really love the scientific principles that we have over the last couple of hundred years. I really wish that humanity could have got to this point a lot earlier in our development. I think we'd be light years ahead of where we are now if we could have embraced science much earlier. Um,
Start oxygen.
and I say that because I really love how eager science is to completely disregard everything that they've learnt previously and say, okay, we find something that disproves that, on to the next thing. I think it's a really good way to think and look at the world of, yeah, I'm building up a theory, we're trying to understand, but we're not precious about it. We don't mind giving up what we previously assumed.
Well, see, but I actually think you're wrong there to a degree because you've got famous scientists now that say it's all about you have to get a consensus. You know, Neil deGrasse Tyson basically went, "Well, we all think this," but if that's what science was, we wouldn't be where we are now. Galileo, was vilified for his, nearly every science. Look at Darwin. You know, if they just accepted, well, everybody else thinks, the cloud, the sky's green. I think it's blue, but everybody else, so I must be wrong. So, and it worries me that we're getting back to the point where people are afraid to speak out and query all sorts of stuff. You know, no, you're not allowed to dissent an opinion. You know, it's just COVID was one. People had dissenting opinions about the COVID treatment, stuff like that. People lost jobs, platforms, careers, all the rest of it. The environment, there isn't a 100% consensus. I mean, we grew up with David Bellamy was the top guy on TV about the planet and anything to do with nature and all. And he said that man isn't, the climate change thing's a scam. He says the climate will change, the planet changes. It's not us doing it, you know. And because he spoke out, he got booted off everything. When was the last time you saw him anywhere? It could be
It's been
right
a
or it could
while.
be wrong. I'm not saying I'm not going to get into, but there's loads of people that don't agree with it, and all of a sudden you're not allowed to speak. You're not allowed on anywhere, and so that worries me about science. Science has gone down because there was a lot of people said about the COVID job. A lot of people said, including the guy Dr. Robert Maloney, who helped create mRNA technology, and he said most people don't need this job and it could be dangerous for a lot of healthy people taking something. And he said it needs to be old. He was old. He had it himself. Him and his wife had it and all the rest of it. And because he spoke out and went, don't give it to healthy people, he got, he lost, fellowship and, all the rest of it. He lost all sorts. And that's scary if science is afraid to speak out and question things. Who the fuck knows what happens around the corner? So, um, anyway, question
Uh,
8. Sorry, no, go ahead.
uh, Oh no, no, I was going to stay and belabor the point, but there's no need. We're in agreement in a lot of the scientific theories.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Question 8. What is your guilty pleasure?
Oh, there's so many.
Okay, what's your guiltiest pleasure?
Yeah, it would have to be alcohol, because I know that it does no real good. It just purely makes me feel good for a short amount of time, but it's very much borrowing happiness from tomorrow, in which case I'm really in debt for a long, long time. Um, but yeah, alcohol. It's an I win button. It's awesome. It's just a pity about the bad side effects.
See, I don't see the bad side effects.
Then
I'm
you're not
not.
seeing
I'm
enough
not.
of it.
I'm not a big drinker. But I just see that if you do it the way you do, and even the way I do, I think it's an upside. It's if you can't control it. So I don't think that's one to feel guilty about. The day you work, you earn your money, you're responsible, for your family and friends, all the rest of it. I don't think you need to feel guilty about having a drink. You know, when you want to have a drink, you don't drive, you don't drink and drive, anything like that. So why not?
Um, Yeah,
I'm
it's
not saying
just
it's the wrong answer. I'm just saying I don't think you need to feel guilty about having a drink.
it's something I do feel guilty about because I know that there's no productive upside to it. So that's why it's a guilty pleasure, because I know that it is just purely for feel good. There's no upside to it,
But there is. It's a social lubricant.
and it works very well.
Yeah, so and I mean, you see the signs in the bars. Alcohol, helping ugly people get laid for years. So, but,
I'd be
anyway,
adrift without it.
okay. So question 9: what 3 people, alive or dead, would you most like to spend an evening with, and why?
Um, okay, first and foremost, Jesus of Nazareth, because I think that empty chair would speak volumes. Um, Newton, because that man so so long ago working out the equations of gravity, which we are still using
That's
to
right.
this
He
day.
he he invented gravity, didn't he?
Yeah, everything was just kind of floating around before that point, and he was like, no, this isn't right, and everything just dropped.
Because the reason to joke about that, there's a clip doing the rounds on YouTube of some stupid woman on a reality show going, "We don't need gravity," He invented it, and we don't need it, and that's what made me laugh. Complete
Down with
moron.
this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and thirdly, Stephen Fry, just an incredibly erudite individual, and would love to have a dinner with him.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, plus he's a national treasure. Please don't say anything bad about Stephen Fry. I would hate to have to swear at you.
I like you. I've always been. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I think he's brilliant. I think he's a great comedy talent. He's a great comedy actor. I think he's a good actor. He's super intelligent, and he articulates his arguments really well,
Yeah,
which is unusual. Um, I've talked to um, some of the guys squirreling out who have done they do reaction channels, and they were talking about he does a bit where he's explaining the difference between British comedy and American comedy, and he just explains it so real that everybody just at the end goes, "Fuck, he's right," So
I
he
haven't seen
gets,
that, but I'm gonna look it up now.
yeah, he gets the point across well. Because I always say we're talking about scientists. There's super smart people out there, and I like Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think he's become a bit of a dick. He started sticking his oar into stuff he shouldn't be. Just tell us about fucking science. Don't get involved in the social stuff, 'cause, you know what I mean. Just piss people like me off, and loads of people just tell me about fucking stars and planets and shit like that. There, but he what's the British guy? Um, he was in D Ream, the tall, thin guy, Brian Cox, Professor Brian Cox. He's
Uh,
brilliant because he's really entertaining. He explains it in a way that I can understand and it gets it across. But there's loads of really super, super smart people out there that just don't. They're just born in the head. Night Ollie.
Cheerio, Ollie.
Yeah. And
Um,
hello, Sam.
Brian Cox, I find very hard to take seriously because I always imagine him as like the fifth member of Muse. But he just looks like a 90s emo kid, and it's really hard to receive a message from that. But the guy is very smart and he says wonderful things.
But that's the thing. It's just if he gets through this, I like him. And he's it's interesting. He explains things well. So I just wish some of them would stay in their lane. You know what I mean? Just and I don't mean just them. I mean footballers just play football. Musicians just play or play their instruments and sell records. Rather than everything else that they do, just because they think, oh, I'm famous, I can say what the fuck I want. So, question 10: what aggravates you the most?
People,
Okay.
just people in general. Very much an introvert. I spend an awful lot of my energy every day either working out how to interact with as few people as possible, or if I have to interact with them, thinking about it beforehand and planning how it's going to go so that I'm not surprised by it and so that I can easily make my way through what I need to do. And then I avoid people as much as possible.
Okay. Every people or just strangers?
Um, the vast majority of people. So like we're friends and I feel more comfortable in your company than I do
Yeah.
with random strangers on the bus. But it is still a tax to be around people, even in this format
Yeah.
of being in front of people and just like putting a face on to be seen by the world. It takes a toll. There's only so many spoons in the day, and that is something that takes spoons for me.
Yeah. I can't disagree. You know me. I'm absolutely not a people person. You know. So, um, right. So we're at the halfway mark. So I'm going to have a drink, and just for in case
Bottoms up,
they're ever watching. Um,
Bushmill
Bushmills, to me.
14 year.
Yeah. Show me some love, Bushmills, you cunt. And and I have to
Oh,
point out, so Joey's went live, so our numbers went way down. So a few people
oh,
have switched over to watch Joey, but that's okay. You know,
so how
cheers,
many are we on now? Cheers.
13. We were 23, which is quite good, but like it'll go up and down. So and look, remember that's what Herf bought me for my 50th.
I like that glass. I'm gonna
Yeah, me
wait a
too.
couple of years and then I'm going to buy myself one as well.
Oh,
But
fair play.
I have to give you
Um,
that time of being the only one with the glass with your initial on it. And
and
I really like the metal. It's handmade in Sheffield, pewter tin.
yeah, it's funky. It's my go-to now. I mean, I even had to wash it about half an hour before the show, and I just realised if you look at this thing, there's a big sinister pair of eyes just over us on the screen.
Glaring at
So
us.
yeah, so actually I quite like that. It's quite fitting. So okay. So question 11.
Oh, hold on. That image is the personification of the angry emoji, the one with the downward eyebrow slants. Like that
Yeah,
emoji in a person.
yeah. See, and that's me really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Angie wants me to get that as my next tattoo, the angry face emoji. Um,
I think that's
so
very suitable.
yeah, I was thinking of getting it done on my ass, but you know, it takes an awful lot of ink to cover my ass, so I'm not sure. Um, question 11 then. What would other people say is your worst quality?
The fact that I hate people.
Okay.
Um, I find it really hard to communicate with people. So conversations with people tend to be very standoffish and they don't flow terribly well. Um, just because I don't really body signals terribly well and things like that. So while other people you can just throw them in a room together and they will talk for hours and days and seemingly never stop for breath, and just the thought of that tires me the fuck out. Um, but yeah, there's so much communication that has to be done just in day-to-day life, and it's a terrible quality I have.
Yeah, but that's what you think it is. Is that what other people would think of you? That's the
I
question. It's not what's your worst quality. It's what do other people think's your worst quality?
um, then I would have to say other people think the worst quality in me is just how goddamn handsome I am and how hard it is to stop looking at me.
Okay. Um.
So probably my arrogance.
Okay. Okay. I'm not
Uh,
going to comment on that.
no, no, no. I would honestly like to ask. You are other people. What would you say is my worst quality?
Uh, well, I would half jokingly say the fact that you're a commie. Um, because we disagree on nearly everything, but I'm just used to that now. but you did say and I think you're right, your arrogance, and sometimes you don't mean to come across that way, but you do. Um, and it's not an endearing quality. Um, that I now just gloss over and just ignore you. But I can understand where, um, yeah. But yeah, I would agree with you on that. That I would agree with other people on that. So
I think it's very fair.
yeah. Okay. So question 12: is there one event in your life you would like to go back on and do differently?
No, everything that's happened has brought me here today, and I'm happy, I'm whole, I'm living the life that I choose in the manner in which I want to live it. Um, no, there are certainly regrets that I have, but given the opportunity, I wouldn't go back and change them
Yeah.
because everything that happened was sort of meant to happen. I don't believe in fate, but just because we're in the timeline where it did happen, you got to make your peace with that. You can't change everything, whether it be in the future or the past. You just got to deal and move on.
But see, the way you're talking about it, it sounds like you believe in fate,
No, uh,
destiny. Just the way you said that everything brought you here. So there's bound to be
and
something you just, you know,
rather than go back,
maybe the one that got away,
no.
or the one
Um,
that didn't get away and it's buried in the back garden. Mm.
we don't talk about those three. Um,
Yeah.
but no, if I was looking back on life and I identified something that I wish had gone differently, then I'll just take that and roll it into my life going forward to make sure that the same mistake doesn't happen again. But no, I wouldn't go back and change anything,
Yeah.
even though there are many things that keep me awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, wincing in embarrassment and shame. Um, but no, wouldn't
I've
change.
mountain of stuff I would go back and change if I could.
Uh, Gives one.
Being born for one. Um,
You gonna butterfly effect yourself?
yeah, I think the world would be an incredibly happier place if I hadn't have been born. And considering I wouldn't have been if my mum hadn't lost a child in between me and Robert. Um, I wouldn't have been born, and then everybody would have been happier. I
Disagree.
I wish I had got to know my dad better as an adult before he died because I was only 18 when we found out he was dying. It only lasted about 6 months. Um, I
You really
regret
didn't
that
have much time with them.
a lot. Been thinking about that a lot recently because, funny enough, I bumped into took the wee dog for a walk tonight. Bumped into a guy, and he literally just randomly, um, just because they were walking their dog, and their dog's called Lola, which is what one of ours is called, and just got talking, and we're talking about having Rottweilers and stuff, and he happened to say, "He's oh my brother used to go for." I said, "What was he called?" He said, "Joe Watt," and he was a good friend of my dad's, the Rottweilers, and my dad died of asbestosis, and as it turned out, so did Joe Watt. Only found out tonight he died as well, and asbestos got him too. Um, so uh, very weird and uncomfortable coincidence. I've just been thinking about thinking about my dad a lot recently, to be honest. Um, Lots of things I'd go back and change, So, but
Uh,
anyway,
how how come your dad's been on your mind recently?
because I never really got to know him properly, you
It's
know.
fair.
'Cause I never got to sit in the bar with him and have a drink and talk to him about stuff, and never got to ask him why he did some of the things he did. And there's lots of things like him and my mum splitting up, and I'm not naive enough to think that it was all my dad's fault, but why he did some of the things that he did that I won't talk about here. I'll talk about in private at some point if you want. A lot of things he did were just flat out wrong, and I'd love to ask him why the fuck did you do that. And I love to have got to know him better rather than finding out 3 or 4 months into my first, or well, my only job, I suppose, but 3 or 4 months into working that he was dying, coming on one night and being told he'd 6 months to live. And yeah, so a lot of
That's a
shit
shitty
going
stick
around
to
the
be
world,
handed.
So but yeah, and there's that tonight, just fucking find out that Joe died. Because I mean, I didn't know, I knew of Joe Watt, but I didn't know him. But I was in work one day years ago, and he introduced himself to me. He came in as a customer, and he recognized me and went, "I'm Joe Watt. I'm a friend of your dad's." And he told me stuff about my dad. And just to hear that tonight that he died and it was asbestos killed my dad was just really weird. They say uncomfortable coincidence.
How did your dad know Joe Watts? Like, did they work in the same place?
I don't know where they met. I just know my dad brought the first Rottweiler into Northern Ireland in the 1980s, and him and Joe Watt formed the Northern Ireland Rottweiler Association. Um, and they were just big fans of the breed, and they set it up, and they got them. They would show them and all the rest of it. So I don't know where they met. They could have met through the dogs. He might have known him. And Joe was, the other thing was Joe was gay, right? Really fucking hard man. Growing up in Belfast, when they did, and nobody fucked with him. And you know yourself, it wasn't the done thing to be coming out as gay at that point in the fucking 60s
No.
and 70s. But he was a fucking hard man. And nobody fucked with him, you know. So I just weird. But yeah, he introduced himself to me and spoke to me about my dad. So and I don't like the fact that other people can tell me stuff about my dad that I don't know. You know.
Yeah, you feel like you should know
Yeah.
as much as there is to know.
Yeah, because I mean, my dad's dad died on the run. You know, he's a wanted man. I died young of cancer. Was smuggled into the country to meet us when we were born and stuff like that. I never got to meet him, and I never found out. You know, he was wanted for murder. Um, never able to get the true way of it. What happened? You know, because some of the family go, oh, he was set up or he took the fall for something. Fuck off. You know what I mean? That was I never got to find out any of it, and then my dad's used to run about. You know, Buck Alec,
No.
right? Well, you know the phrase. He's going Buck Alec.
Oh, yes.
Right. Well, that Buck Alec was a real person. That's where the phrase come from. It's a very Northern Irish thing. Well, he had a pet lamb, lived on the shore road, and he was, you know, the proper cock of the walk you used to get, you know, like the one hard man in the whole area that nobody fucked with. Well,
Hmm.
he was it, and he had a pet lamb and all. And there's stories about fucking. I mean, he was sitting in the bar one night, and there was three Yanks, you know, three servicemen that didn't believe him that he had a lamb, and he basically took it back to the house and just put them in the back garden and closed the door or closed the gate, locked them in a lamb. But my granddad used to run about, my granddad used to run around with him. So I'd love to have heard all that sort of shit. Um, I never got to know any of it. I
Uh,
never got to know him. You know,
I'm curious, who's the person that your grandfather allegedly killed?
I don't know.
Damn, you don't even
I
know who the
have
victim is?
no. I think it was a policeman, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I just couldn't. You know, I never because my dad. I don't know the rest of the Herons. I don't know them. I only knew his brothers because they looked like him. You know what I mean? There were a button of them. You know, so if I was over when the Blues were playing Crusaders, I would over. I'd bump into them. And other than that, I wouldn't know them. And I don't have cousins and all, and I don't know. So the last time I saw someone, it was at a funeral. Um, you know, so I'd love to know more of it. I'd love to know more about dad's history. I'd love to know, you know, so and I'd love to know more of the family history. I know. I mean, obviously, if I really wanted to, I could go down to Prony and that and do some actual. But I don't have enough information as a starting point. suppose, I mean, all he really needs death certificate, a starting point. But because to be honest, I'd love to go back and see, how much of we were involved in stuff like the sign of the Ulster Covenant and Home Rule crisis and maybe the Battle of Somme and all that sort of thing. Because I'd imagine there was Hearns there. I'd imagine their family were there because that's what they did. They're shipyard workers. They were unionists. They were, So I'd love to go back and trace all that.
Sounds like your uncles would be a good source of information.
They're all dead.
Oh, damn.
My dad's whole family's gone now. I have cousins somewhere. Wouldn't know them. That's why I worry about cancer a lot because almost every member of my family that's died has been cancer of some shape or form. My dad's was asbestos related. That was different, but his sister and two brothers were cancer. My uncle Roy and my mum's side was cancer. Her mum's dad was cancer, although it was industrial related. He got stuff in Mackey's, during the war and all, so but I did say because I've got family, or as they said, kin over in Georgia. Got family over in Georgia because my aunt Ethel left here. She married a Yank. I don't even know his name, and moved to Georgia. Because I only met some of them, when my dad was down because he brought someone. We wanted to see someone before he died. The only one I really get on with was my cousin Gary, but he's dead now. He died something to do with drugs. So I joined that ancestry.com at one point and went through it, but then after I went, yeah, it's boring the tits off me, and I don't want to meet these people anyway, so I'm just not doing it now. But I'd love to know this.
Ancestry.com, did you have to do like the DNA test thing?
No, you just put in some information, and then it sort of everybody else's, if they've got stuff on that overlaps mine, so I'm filling in their blanks and vice versa. So I could go on, and there could be millions of it because I still get emails from them from time to time going, "Oh, there's more information added to your family tree and all." The problem is, I don't really want to meet any of my family tree. So I've got immediate family that I haven't seen in years. You know what I mean? I have a brother lives 2 miles away, and I haven't seen him in 2 years. So it's just, it is what it is. So anyway, let's move on. Hopefully something more pleasant. Oh God, I couldn't have worded that any worse. Question 13. What's been the worst experience of your life?
What a question for number 13. Suddenly and rapidly becoming scared of heights for no goddamn reason. Like a decade ago, I had absolutely no issue with heights whatsoever. And then I went to go and abseil down the side of Carrick Castle. Climbed all the way up to the top of the wall, got the harness on me, was about to step out over the edge to begin the abseil down, and all of a sudden, the fear of heights hit me. Bizarre and rapidly onset. I used to climb massive trees when I was younger. My brother, if he's still watching, we used to climb the almost sheer wall of a quarry. That my great uncle, he used to live in a little house right on the edge of a quarry. Like you could throw a slipper out the window and it would have went down to the bottom of the quarry. And me and my brother used to climb up the almost sheer vertical rock wall, and no issues at all until suddenly 10 years ago, just bam, now you're scared of heights for no apparent reason. And now just thinking about heights makes my palms sweaty. Now just if I'm watching like a music video or something where the camera pans and looks over the side of the building, oh no, 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 no.
You definitely need to avoid The Last of Us 2. There's a bit in it where you're walking across beams really high up, and it's so well done. If you look down, it's nuts.
That does sound like an awesome video game experience, though.
Oh, it's very, very good. But I don't think think it's just. I think the older you get, the more aware of your mortality you are. I think that's what it is. And you're also much easier to hurt when you're older. When you're young and you fall, you tend to, because you're made of rubber, and you don't fucking, you bounce more and you don't. Whereas, I mean, I could stumble over a stone now and break my ankle, for fuck's sake. It's, you know, and in recent years I've become claustrophobic. Never claustrophobic in my life, and now, just even watching, I've seen the Imitation Game,
I don't believe so.
the Benedict Cumberbatch movie about Alan Turing.
No.
Well, there's a bit where he's in it where they basically nail him onto the floorboards because they're just picking on him, and that just makes me want to throw up, even just thinking about it. It's just that because I'd get out, I'd be in jail for the rest of my life because I'd kill everybody that, you know, claustrophobia in my old age. So even watching movies, and when there's really tight spaces and people can't move, and the thought of people going spelunking and stuff like that, I'm like, fuck no. And then, I mean, I read the other day about some dude. He got stuck in a cave. He got confused. He got stuck, and he lived for 2 days, and then eventually had a heart attack and died. They were trying to rescue him, and they were taking him oxygen and stuff.
Hmm.
Eventually, he got so stressed, stuck, that he had a heart attack and died. I'm like, fuck no way. Um,
Do you know when the claustrophobia came on? Like, was it a specific instance of something,
no,
or
no, no. I think um, it just developed over time. It's not like I was ever stuck somewhere, and because I wasn't as a kid. I was never worried about shit like that. Just as an adult, I've become more and more confident. So, um, yeah. Sorry about that, Kirsty. Sucks. Um, but no, so it's a relatively new issue for me. Sort of suppose maybe 10 years or so. I mean, it's not a crippling claustrophobia. It's not like I can't get into a car because it's too tight, but it's just, or I can't go to a cupboard or anything. But it's more um, it's more in case it ever happened if somebody decided to throw me in the boot of a car or something like that. So. Um, uh,
okay? So now I know what not to do with you.
Spelunking is cave diving, basically. Where guys will go into underwater caves and stuff. They'll have their oxygen tanks and stuff, and I can through all these wee tiny sort of. I'll show you next time we're hanging out. If we're hanging out after this, I'll show you quickly. It's even the thought of even watching the likes of that just just freaks me out so much.
Yeah, that kind of thrill seeking, because you get a thrill out of it because of the threat of death, right? That kind of thrill seeking just doesn't click with me.
No, I mean, see, at this point, my biggest thrill is sometimes when I fart and don't follow through. I'm not worried about. See these guys cave diving or fucking paragliding or the ones in the wee fucking wingsuits with their, what is it they call it? Is it threading the needle or whatever with the, and shit like that there. And a lot of the time they hit the rocks because it just takes the wind to change at exactly the wrong time and they're dead. It's like, yeah, fuck that shit.
Or one I saw recently was, instead of a wingsuit, that guy had a carpet, and like the arms and leg holes to put into them, so his hands would be in the corners. And he flew that carpet down the side of the mountain like a majestic hero. That was awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll stick just having the odd danger wank. I think that's about you know,
Dare I ask, what makes it dangerous?
yeah, I'll tell you later. So anyway, right, question 14. Um, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
I would. I would stop my hair from growing. Not all of it, just the hair on my head. just so I don't have to go and sit in a barber's chair, because I find that incredibly uncomfortable. Um, being touched by someone, um, being in such close proximity to someone, there being other people in the room who hear the awkward conversation. The awkward conversation. There is so much about it that just that scenario that I dislike thoroughly.
Okay, that's a really weird answer. You could always just cut it yourself. Can I shave it?
I used to.
Yeah, I know, but you could just do it again, and you don't need to go near barbers again.
I'm too pretty now. I've got to suck it
No,
up and go to the
you're
barber.
really not. No, um, you actually look better with your long hair before you cut it.
Yeah, I agree. It was just a bother to take care of.
I mean, you didn't look this good. You know what I mean?
No, no, no one could. There is something glorious about your beard, especially the lines of color. It looks like you dye it. I know that you
It,
don't.
it's
So it's just incredible that nature has given you just a five-tone beard.
it's weird that you say that. You say that. Use that phrase. When I was out from a Christmas dinner in December, the works one, and there was a guy coming, him and his wife or partner, whatever the fuck she was, but sitting, and I think he's looking at me. What the fuck, you know? And I did at one point. I sort of said hello to him walking by just to see like what do you want, and then when I was leaving, he came over his message. He says, "Look, can I say something? I hope you're not offended." I said, "Well, depends what it is." He says, he looked at me and went, "Your beard's glorious." And I was like, "What?" It was just so weird. Um, yeah, and it's just you using that phrase. But I constantly debate taking this off. 'Cause, you know, I went from my first haircut about 4.5 years, and I fucking agonized about it for about a year, getting my hair cut, and then you know,
How long ago was that?
3 months ago. Sure, mine was. I suppose you'd have seen it was always tied up, but it was way down my back. You know, it
Mm.
was just too long. It was just too messy. It was everything. So, um,
So did you go to a male barber's or did you go to a women's hairdresser's?
the one I went to had a bit of both. It happened to be a fella cut mine, and I think he regretted it because it took him about an hour to cut mine because there was that much of it to cut off, and he got the same money as you know. Um, I did tip, I did tip because he took forever, but um, you know, so yeah, Joey's live. Yeah, fuck Joey. Joey, if you're watching, fuck you. Went live at the same time. Prick. Um,
How rude.
no. Look, that we always say it's a big fucking world. If somebody wants to go live, go live. You know what I mean? So sometimes Carla, who's not here, Carla would be, you know, are you going and all this here? And I'd say, Carla, if you want to go live, go live. You know, it's no big deal. So,
If you open
um,
it, they will come.
yeah, or maybe not. Um, right, question 15. What one person taken too soon would you bring back?
Nick Drake.
Hello, Daniel.
Hi. Yeah, you've already said hello to me. Um,
Different Daniel.
yeah,
You're right. It is a common name
very.
Unlock your iPhone first.
Um, yeah, Nick Drake. Singer.
from.
Um,
I know the
like
name. I can't think
ABCs.
who he is.
Um, his biggest album, which wasn't terribly big then and isn't now, Five Leaves Left. Um, just a guy, a guitar, recording his music in an allotment shed. Um, but yeah, really heartfelt music, and um, sadly did away with himself. Pretty sure he joined the 27 Club. If not, he was pretty young. Um, yeah, I really liked his style and his music, and I wish he was still around.
Okay.
But
Um,
sadly, some of the most tortured peoples are the ones that create the greatest art.
yeah, I actually did a wee video on that. I was short about the 27 Club. I don't remember him popping up. I know the name, but I couldn't. I don't. You know, don't know who it is. But it is weird how many people. Funny enough, listening to music earlier in Chester Benningfield. popped up, or Benningfield. I'm mispronouncing it, but
Lincoln Park.
Lincoln Park, and we're sitting on the outside looking at it, going, "You've got fucking everything. You're famous. You're good looking. You're talented. You're rich. You've got a family, everything, and it's still something just wasn't right. It just click, boom, gone." Um, so it's a weird one. I've said this a lot. I people don't realize what other people are going through sometimes, and people don't realize how close other people are sometimes. It's just doing it, you know.
Because we can't see into people's minds, and people find it very hard to open up.
Yeah, it just takes 5 minutes of bad thoughts at some point, and somebody could do it, but who knows? So, okay. Question 16. What would your 3 desert island albums be?
Nirvana, Bleach, Placebo. Oh, what's the name of the album that begins with Pure Morning? I think it might be self-titled. I think that's why I can't remember the name of the Placebo album. And then I need something with a bit of happiness to it. But no, that's it. That kind of sad, melancholy happiness. So I would go for Elliott Smith. I'm not sure what the name of the album is. But yeah, Elliott Smith just makes really soulful music.
Okay. Again, it's somebody I've never heard of. Placebo I've seen twice. Love Placebo, but haven't listened to them in years. Um, the last time, honestly, it was played the Ulster Hall twice, and the last time was brilliant because you can see all the wee emos getting out of their mommy's car around the corner and walking around, and "Oh, my life's so tough," and yeah, okay. And then what? I literally, me and Graham, we put out the door, and we lad, he literally, I swear to God, he'd pain written on his forehead, and we laughed in his face, not trying to be mean, just couldn't, just spontaneous laughed at him. You know what I mean? I just, yeah. But love Bruce Pristine, and 36 degrees, it's been a while from
Yep.
listening to it, you and even some of the, like that, a friend in need, a
Is a
friend
friend
with weed
indeed.
is, yeah, a friend in need's a friend indeed, a friend with weed is better, something like that. Some of their stuff just, brilliant, but haven't listened to them in ages. I keep meaning to fucking download some of their stuff again, so,
I was very much like that kid with pain written on his forehead, although without going that far. But Placebo were one of my emo bands growing up, and they'll always have a place with me.
and Nirvana's a band I'm not a fan of. I don't mind them. I don't love them. You know what I mean? When they're on, I wouldn't go turn that off. But I wouldn't, if you say what do you want to hear, I would never say Nirvana. You know, just because one of the guys that did this for me, he has them as the most overrated band ever, and actually put a wee video out and got a bit of hate over it. He's just his opinion. He's entitled to it.
His opinion is very much correct. Kurt Cobain was a terrible singer. He was not a good guitar player. They had I'm mind blanking. What do you call the guy from Foo Fighters, the lead singer,
Dave
who used
Grohl.
to do Dave Grohl used to do drums in Nirvana, and back then wasn't terribly good. Much better these days.
I do yourself a favor. Sorry, Google Stone Aces when you get a chance.
It's Stone Aces. Is that a band?
Yeah, or we say Google to check them out on YouTube. Yeah, it was JV's band. um, but fair play to him.
Oh, so are you suggesting these as the most overrated band of all time?
No, I look. If Blake was here, I would give him dog juice about it because But the JV's actually properly talented. I hate the fact that he's really talented because he's good at everything he does. And he's got semi-perfect hair, but it's only perfect because it's only perfect because he applies about half a gallon of Gorilla Glue before he goes out, and it never moves. It's the only thing that survives a hurricane down in Arkansas. It never moves.
Thank you, Brandon. You're entirely right. Without you, I'm nothing. Is the name of the album. That wasn't a statement to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll check out the Stone Aces. And yeah, I saw JV play guitar on a live stream once, and ridiculously talented.
Not my live stream. No guitars on my live stream. He honestly, look, he's got about 4 channels, but some of the stuff, some of the covers, some of Hendrix covers, Zeppelin covers, all the rest of it. He's very, very, very good player. Look, there's a lot of musicians in our wee group, and they all defer to him when they're talking about music. How do you do this? How do you do that? BC's really good. Paul's learning. Paul's coming on. Thrice playing bands forever. When it comes to it, JV's a man. Sorry, Nirvana being overrated. What we saying? Sorry, I interrupted you.
I agree, they are overrated. They weren't technically adept at music, but I think that gives it a raw quality, which is a lot of the draw for Nirvana. The
See,
raw,
I don't
unprocessed
mind.
sound.
I don't mind the not being supremely talented. Bob Dylan, his first couple of albums were fucking brilliant. He can't sing I could probably sing better than him. Not saying something, but he sung the songs that he wrote that suited his voice, and they're brilliant. So I don't mind him not being musically perfect, because perfect boring. If you want perfect, you want auto tune, and you want the same shitty pop over and over again. Which is what's happening at the minute. You listen to the radio and you don't even know when one song's finished, because the next song just sounds the same. It's terrible. But I think Eric's point was people overplay their importance. So they saved rock and roll, and they did this and they did that, and I'm just not super sure that that's right. And maybe it's just because I'm not a fan. I found him to be a real asshole, and I find it really hard to get past when somebody in a band, especially a lead man, is a complete prick. I find it really hard. I can't do it sometimes. It's why I don't tend to delve into the knowing too much with the bands, because I don't want to be put off because he's a complete prick. He's an asshole, and I'm not listening to his music. Like your man Roger Waters, he's a fucking nut job. Pink Floyd.
Oh, okay.
And he's just. But I love Pink Floyd. You know what I mean? So just the Gallagher's. They're everywhere at the minute. They are assholes, but they're everywhere at the minute. I love early Oasis stuff. So I try not to learn too much about the people behind the band. So okay. Question 17. What skill or talent would you like to have that you don't currently?
I would very much like to either be able to dance or play an instrument. Both of these things are just outside of my wheelhouse. Absolute lack of rhythm in any way, shape, or form. So just being able to do one of those would be nice. You got a guitar like a year ago. How's the learning been going?
It hasn't.
Was there
No,
like a block that you hit, or did it just trail off?
yeah, I'm a moron. I'm too stupid to do it. So
I don't believe that for a second.
it's mostly a time thing. You need to set it. It's not just a time thing, but um it's really frustrating whenever because JV put me on to a guy online, and the guy's tips and his learning videos and all are brilliant. At some point, you just have to start making it sound like music. I can't do it. I can't. I can play the A chord and I could go to a D chord, but then try and strum it to make it sound remotely like a song, and it's just clang, 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 clang. Well, that's all I'm hearing. Because I was half learning Three Little Birds.
Okay.
But it's mostly a time. It's a time constraint because working, come home, spend time with family. I get a wee bit of time at night, and then it's to pick up a book, to watch something, to hang out with friends on YouTube. Do I do this, do that? I only really get about an hour before I start having to think. I need to go to bed because I go to work in the morning. But it's a learnable skill. The guy in the music shop, Matt, it wasn't Matt. It's can't remember where I got bought my acoustic one years ago, and he said if you can learn, sorry, if you can dial a phone number, you can learn how to play guitar. You're not going to be Clapton, you're not going to be, but you can, So, um, so it's doable, but it's having the patience and the time to do it. And I'm not a very patient person, so I just after a while wanted to smash it against the wall and didn't because it was too expensive. So so at this point, it's the most expensive ornament I have in my room. So and it's a pity because there's people here that are say Paul's learning, is doing well, Angie's learning, but BC said he'd help me with stuff, and JV said he'd help me with stuff. All good guitar players, but ultimately you have to pick it up and do it yourself.
Yeah, you've got to put in the time and energy.
But dancing's a learnable skill. No, it is. Like a couple of times we were in the. Hold on, just want to say no to somebody.
Okay.
No. The couple of nights we ended up in the Empire after a gig or after a night out with Sapphire or whatever, and there'd be a wee local band playing. There used to be a blues band here called the Rob McCulloch Band, and they were brilliant. But Rob died a lot of years back, so it's now in a new. I can't remember what it's called, but they're really really good. But there was these guys up swinging. It was like, did you ever watch the films Swingers?
Yep.
Do the big dance thing at the end. Him and Heather Graham, swing. The guys are in the Empire doing that sort of dancing. So we were talking to them, and they're just a dance club in Bangor, and they come up because the live band's playing, they get dancing. It's really impressive, but they all literally just learn it. And let's face it, dancing. I've said this before, and don't want to wind Angie up too much, but dancing's just an excuse to rub yourself against a woman. You know what I mean? That's what it used to be, and that's why people miss. I miss discos. Used to go to discos when I was younger. It was just, and especially because they always put the slow songs on by 12. Every shots here one. It used to be much earlier, but they used to put the slow songs on by 12 o'clock. See it about
Just so
half
people
hour,
would,
40 minutes to
people
grab
would
some.
cozy up and pair off for the night.
Yeah, and pretty much, yeah. Because fuck my own mate Nelly, he used to go, and he always said he'd go and he just wouldn't drink, and he'd just wait to the end of the night. Or he'd even just turn up at the end of the night and just get some skank off the dance floor. It was just at that point, it was just um, it was that time of the night to pair off, So, Angie, calm down. But yeah, but they're both learnable skills if you've got the time and the patience to do it.
You mentioned swing music, and that's one of my great loves in music. The swing music from the 20s and 30s, which is in the last decade undergone an electronic revival, and it's fucking awesome. So like for the older stuff, you've got Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, and then for the new electronic stuff, well, Parov Stellar is probably the biggest one, and Caravan Palace. But the swing music is awesome. It's the thing that makes me want to learn to dance because the music is just so damn good.
Yeah, but see, you could easily join that. So the problem for you might be traveling up down to Bangor, but the likes of that club, they're all relatively young people, all seem friendly enough. You could easily turn up there and go, and it was very much swingers. It was, and I mean swingers the movie, not swingers the everybody rides everybody.
I'm okay
Well,
with
it might
either.
be, so. Yeah, one thing can lead to another, you know. So, um, but Nancy, you still can. Go do it. Keep telling Nancy she needs to get out of the house. She needs to get out of the house and go and do stuff and meet real people.
Angie, come on over here and we'll learn together.
But there you go. There's an offer you're not going to get very often. So I'm not sure I didn't word that right, but you know what I mean. Right. Question 18 then. What film do you love that most people hate?
Shit that most people hate.
Well, hate's maybe the wrong, but like an unpopular film that you just think's great and you'll watch it more than
I
once.
really liked the movie The Usual Suspects. It's become a bit tarnished now because of who was in it.
He's been cleared of everything. It was a great movie. He's been cleared repeatedly in court, Kevin Spacey.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yes. Although they're not letting him back because they don't want to, but he's now doing plays and stuff again, but he was cleared in court in America and the UK. But that's
Nice.
a very popular film though. Oscar winning film, I
Damn.
believe.
Okay. Then an early 90s movie, Human Traffic. It's a coming of age cannabis drug taking movie. You've got like different strands of people who handle their substances well, who go too deep into it, and then people that are only there because their friends are there. It just never got much traction, but it's a really good film.
I've never seen it. I know the actor. I can picture the cover, you know, but I've never watched it because not even quite sure why. I've maybe just seen trailers and just thought that looks shite. But I am much more open to trying new films and series and stuff now, you know. But sometimes you need to be in the mood, and sometimes you need to be sitting. Company when somebody goes, right, we're watching this, you know.
Yeah, you need someone to put it on for you.
Yeah, because it's hard sometimes to pick something new and something different, you know.
Very much so.
Yes,
on to
Angie has been threatening me, but Angie's got more important things to do than come to fucking Northern Ireland.
Disagree. The highlight of Angie's life will be coming over and meeting you.
No, that'll be a low point for Angie.
Nah, disagree.
I'm not a good person. So you spoke to Kevin. See, Kevin Spacey's ridiculously talented, and all he did was try and get his hole and use his fame to try and get his hole. I mean, that's everybody does it. You know what I mean?
It's the entire reason behind money.
Absolutely. It's like the film Deep Impact. You know when the when they're having the school assembly, you know the wee lad when he's the one that spotted the meteor coming, and the wee lad goes up and goes, you're going to get so much sex now." He says, "All famous people do. That's the only reason to get famous." And you know, um, he's probably right. You know,
that
so
question was difficult to answer because I don't really check in on like review sites or anything like that to see what other people are thinking about a movie. So I don't really know what the movies are like that other people don't like.
No, but you know a film bombed, or you maybe you know. I mean, for me, it would possibly be Day of the Dead. Isn't a particularly, but it's a big movie. George A. Romero.
Was that the mall one?
No, it's the one before or the one after that. You'd Night of the Dead, which is the black and white one. Then you'd Dawn of the Dead, which was the shopping mall, and then you'd Day of the Dead, which is set in the army base, and it was fucking. It's brilliant, and we used to come home from the pub, and we'd all be, you know, Paul would drive, which to be honest was the only reason we kept, being friends with him because he used to take us home. And I had it in VHS, and we fucking wore it. We watched it that much. It just wore it out. It was just brilliant. But I love the old classic zombie movies. There's JV's come up with one, and I don't get it. It's a popular film. People say it's great, and I watch it. I'm like, you owe me an hour and a half. That's an hour and a half of my life. It's just um, like any Zack Snyder movies. I will not ever waste my time watching a Zack Snyder movie again. Um, he is everything he's done. I hate with a passion. The last one was the zombie one. I can't even remember what it was called. I didn't know it was his, and we sat and watched it downstairs. And I halfway through, I realized this is Zack Snyder movie. This is fucking terrible, and we sort of had to sit and watch it to the end. So
I haven't seen Napoleon Dynamite, so I couldn't weigh in on that.
it's like a wee indie one. It's got a very famous scene in it. If you watch it, you'll probably go, I've seen clips of that. Black Dynamite, I have no idea what that is.
Sounds racist.
I don't know. You know who that is anyway?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Question 19. What's your favorite conspiracy theory? So I always have to qualify this. It's not which one do you believe the most. What's your favorite theory?
Can it be one that's been proven true, but was
Oh, absolutely, yes. But if it was a conspiracy theory at some point, the obvious ones are JFK, the moon landing, blah blah blah, 9/11, whatever.
So I like this one because so many conspiracy theories, people try and debunk them by saying, "Oh no, there's no way that the people in charge would do something so awful against their own citizens." So this one proves the lie to that. Um, I think it was the 60s, the American government wanted to know the effects that syphilis would have on people long term. So they specifically, an entire town, the males were um, infected with syphilis, and they watched this progress. And if any of the people from that town worked elsewhere and like had health insurance with other doctors outside the town, those doctors were approached and told about this study and told, do not give them any treatment or tell them that you are treating them, but really give them placebos and just do not treat this syphilis because we want to see how it goes long term. Um, After this study had begun, a cure for syphilis was created. um, these people were denied that cure because the government wanted to see the end result of the syphilis infection. There were so many people born with syphilis just because it came from their parents. Um, and so many people died in utter agony, being completely denied treatment because of this non-consented study. And this was raised many times and was denied many times. But it's like 2 decades ago that it was proven true by the American government's own health records. Um, so yeah, I just really like that conspiracy theory because it proves the lie that yes, sometimes the people in charge are not nice people and they will hurt people to try and gather information that they could gather in other ways. So yeah, that's my favorite conspiracy theory.
Okay. Yeah, there's been loads of them because the, there's a meme goes now because so many of the recent conspiracy theories have turned out to be true. And you can get T-shirts. Clown World do a T-shirt. Uh, today's is it today or sorry, I need new conspiracy theories because all my old ones have come true. And like I say, I mentioned COVID. A lot of stuff with COVID. The fact wearing masks and all was bullshit. You know, um, the vaccine was unnecessary for most people. The lockdowns actually were detrimental. The fact that, I mean, all sorts of stuff. That's just one thing, but everybody that spoke out against it was called a conspiracy nut and all. And more and more and more and more and more of it now. Ivermectin's a famous one. Joe Rogan gets vilified for he took ivermectin, and CNN did a real hit job on him with a
What's ivermectin?
it's a medicine that can be used for multiple things. It's an antiviral drug. But what CNN came out and said was that it's a horse dewormer, and Joe Rogan was telling people to use a horse dewormer. And ivermectin is used for that amongst other things, but it's like penicillin's not just used for us; it's used for animals, and there was multiple uses for ivermectin. But the problem was the big pharma wasn't making money off ivermectin because it's a generic drug. So CNN, who were on board, they run a hit piece on him, and they actually altered images of him to make him look sickly and ill and all. It it was pathetic, So it's weird. I've forgotten the details. I only heard one recently because I mean I love all the conspiracy theories. I don't believe a lot of them. Do I think the American government or the Israelis were behind 9/11? No. Do I think the Americans knew something was going to happen and let it happen to take advantage of it? Maybe. You know what I mean? You could convince me of that. One of the only ones I actually probably do believe is that the CIA killed Kennedy. I think Deep State definitely want to take him out. But it's there was one I heard recently, and it sort of I loved it because it was so wacky. That apparently the aliens that seeded this planet imbued us with a love of gold, so as they could harvest it from us. Because somebody put this forward as even before it became really useful for circuitry and stuff like that. There was no real value for it other than it looked pretty. Yet every society, for as long as there is any sort of records, loved gold. It can't be just because it was shiny. You know what I mean? So somebody's put forward this theory that it's because aliens have put it in us, so we'll crave it and work for them, and then they can harvest us and all. It's stupid, But I loved it because it was so wacky and so far fetched,
And it's got that little kernel of truth in there of
They
calling
all
on the history of
do.
everyone loving
They
gold.
all do. But then
But
there's
the
some.
truth is, gold is just so soft that any fire can be used to melt it and reshape it. And that's where its real value came from.
I
It was
know,
just
but
so easy to work with.
the it's weird. Some of them are so ridiculous. I mean, the flat Earth one really takes me to the fucking fair. You know what I mean? And we know people that believe it. People that we used to think were intelligent.
That is
You know,
still the only person I know of who is an actual believer.
well, there is a guy that sometimes in our chats believes a lot of that stuff. And you do your own research and all. And I had it. I had it for a while. The guy, there's a famous video not doing the rounds. The guy's one of the biggest flat earthers in the world, and he spent like £30,000 to do this experiment out on the ocean, and it was supposed to disprove it. And all he did was he proved the curvature of the Earth, and he live streamed it, so he couldn't. And you just hear him, "Oh, that's interesting," Once he realizes he's wrong, and I'm like, okay, brilliant. I love that, but I love all that shit.
I want to know what came next. I'm just picturing him standing and staring silently at the camera for like 5 seconds and then going,
Well,
"Oh, I wasted
it's
my
an
life."
experiment you do on water, and things have to be a certain distance apart. I'll find it. I'll send you the link. And I had it marked for ages, and it was that. Um, it was just his reaction. Oh, that's interesting. He just that phrase so very British. Oh, that's interesting. Not fuck, I've wasted my life, or you know, it's it's nuts, you know. So, um, no, well, I know that, but you know, it's still, um, you know, people were. I'm not quite. People were invading countries and all just because something was shiny and malleable. I'm not, you know. That's why that conspiracy theory just tickled me. You know, I know why it is really, but um, you know, I don't know what I want to say. He switched his attitude and said it was all about the community, not flat earth. Okay, I don't know. I'll find the video and I'll let you see it. You know, it just amused me, that one. So um,
It's all about the community, not flat Earth. So he's pushing a wrong line of thinking just so he can have friends. Oh, someone should tell that guy about pubs. His life would be so much better.
well, that could be William. Maybe he's talking about William.
Oh, damn. I was thinking about the guy who's doing the experiment.
Yeah. I know I'm not sure, but you know, let's say William's the only one we know that actually believes this stuff. You know, but in fairness, he believed some really weird shit. You know, in the end, the flat Earth's probably not even the worst of them. You know,
That's concerning, but let's not
no,
dive into that.
no, that's um,
People
yeah,
are welcome to their own opinions as long as they don't act on them in a way that becomes harmful to other people.
yeah,
You're allowed to
absolutely.
think that blue is green. You're allowed to disagree on the color of a black or gold dress, just as long as you're not hurting people. Rock on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right, question. This is the last of the regular questions, then, and it's the one we always finish with. So, um, what one thing from your childhood do you regret? I know you have no kids, so it's a hypothetical. You know,
And we'll
one
never
thing.
have kids.
Well, yeah, me either. But what's one thing you childhood you regret? Well, say your nieces and nephews not having now, I suppose, because I know you. Because if Brendan's still in the chat, Brendan started his own fucking community. So,
Oh God.
what blows my mind that he's fucking. What do you say? 11 kids?
More than.
13 was it?
Well, the exact number is indeterminate. Um, but there's certainly a lot of them. But yeah, enough to field a full soccer team. Um, so shit, what was the question? What do I regret that the kids these days don't get to do? Um, just get thrown outside and told not to come home until the street lights come on. My nephews and nieces do leave the house. They do go and play in the street, but it's just not the same. They do it while their iPad is charging, or because they've run out of coins in whatever gacha game they're currently playing. It's more of a second choice. But when I was growing up as a kid, even when there was technology there, it was still go outside and play. Go into the forest and climb trees, play hunts around the estate, play Kirby with a football, play fucking swing racket in the back garden. You were just outside and learning so much about the world and bumping into people and talking and making friends, and that just seems to have pretty much died for kids these days.
Yeah, well, see, I think in a roundabout sort of way you've given the same answer as everybody else, and you know, livestocks. I A lot of people are afraid to put their kids out now. It's so dangerous out. So it's that freedom because you're right. We went out. Um, we literally went out, especially in the summer. You know, we could like away out of the house and just get out from under the feet and come back at dinner time, and then after you get fed, you get through out again, come back when the lights come on. Um, it's it's a weird thing. And you think about it. I mean, I know I'm slightly older than you, but I grew up in a shithole part of Belfast during the Troubles. And we were safer then than kids are now, I think. And that's a worrying thing, you know. So yeah, I think for most people it's the same thing. So It's weird, and it must be if everybody's given roughly the same answer, there must be some validity to it because I've done about 10 or 12 of these now, and it's nearly always the same thing, you know. So, okay, so the plus one, you know, this one was common, but what is the single best piece of advice you can share with the world?
Be kinder to yourself, because it's not other people's responsibility to be kind to you and look after you and make sure that you get where you're going. It's nice when other people do that, but you've got to be kinder to yourself and let yourself get where you want to be. Most people are their own worst enemy, especially when it comes to how they deal with other people. So many people tell themselves that they dislike a certain type of person or where other people come from. And it cuts off a whole part of the community and cuts off a whole part of the global community that those people could reach out to and be friends and have good interpersonal relationships with. Um, People are assholes and mostly to themselves. Um, People got to learn how to be nicer to themselves.
That contradicts nearly every other answer you gave earlier about hating people and not wanting to be near people, and people are tiresome and they're hard working. You don't want to be around them.
Yeah.
And it's also not the answer you gave when you first stumbled across this a lot of months ago. You
What
had a
answer did I
really,
give at that time?
you had a really cool answer about advice your sister gave you about drugs.
Oh yeah, that'll always live with me.
Right, so give that because I think it's better advice because the other one's bullshit. Fuck people. Fuck being nice
No,
to people.
the only way to solve people being assholes is for them to get fixed, and the only way for people to get fixed is for them to be kinder to themselves.
No, I can fix people, but it might be in a different way than you're thinking. So,
I think there might be more holes in them after you've fixed them, and I mean from a shotgun blast.
yeah. So,
Um,
give the bit of advice that your
so
sister give you.
my eldest sister Angela, she's almost a decade older than me, so there wasn't much that we had in common when we were growing up. She was just well older and was into very different things. But when I was getting old enough to start drinking and taking drugs, she gave me one bit of advice, and it's the only bit of advice she ever gave me, and it is perfectly true. Um, if you're taking a mind-altering substance and you're not sure where you're going to be or who you're going to be with or what the substance is, if there's just any uncertainty about it, buy yourself a new piece of clothing beforehand, so that you feel good and you look good and you're in a good mental place before you take that mind altering substance, whether that be anything from alcohol to weed to heroin to meth, whatever. Um, Make yourself feel good beforehand to put yourself in a good mental position, and your substance journey will be much nicer. And that advice has served me well through the years.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's better advice than the other one. Really do.
I want people to be nicer. I want them to be more whole. Yeah. The
Yeah,
thing
but
that
I think
ruins the world is people. So therefore, to solve that, I'm not going to kill all people. I'm going to try and fix all people as much as possible.
I think be happier on drugs is a much more achievable target than let's fix people. You know, um, absolutely. Um, so is there one question you want to ask me?
There is. So
No guarantee I'll answer, but
I'm gonna recycle this question because I asked my young cousin this a couple of weeks ago. So I'm wearing socks that have an animal printed on them. Can you guess what animal is on my socks?
no.
Uh, well, that's factually incorrect. You can guess what animal is on my socks. So sorry, that was a wrong answer.
Okay,
So
is it an aardvark?
It is not an aardvark.
Then there you go. Then I couldn't.
It is zebras.
Okay.
But no. So while you were asking me these questions, I really wanted to know what your 3 desert island discs would be, but I didn't have a chance to interject at the time.
It changes. It depends what mood I'm in. I'll wish you were here.
Oh,
Pink
thank
Floyd.
you. Oh, okay.
Well, you're only about a mile away, so you're practically here. Wish you were here with Pink Floyd, and that's a big thing for me to say because it has "Shine on You, Crazy Diamond," which was my most hated Pink Floyd song when I first heard it. But I
Did it
realized
ruin
in
the
my old
album for you?
age, what's that?
Did it ruin the album for you at the time?
No, I didn't hear it as part of the album. I went to see the Australian Pink Floyd back in the day, and I didn't know much about Pink Floyd. I loved certain stuff and hated other stuff, and then I eventually started listening to more Pink Floyd, sort of like a greatest hits fan for a while, and then it clicked. There's certain bands that are album bands. You can't pick a song. You know, you can, but it's not the same. Led Zeppelin's one of those. Zeppelin, if you get a greatest hits, is it's not right. You need to get Zepp 2 and just hit play, you know, and Pink Floyd's like that. And um so the album Wish You Were Here obviously has Wish You Were Here on it, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. But it's also got Shine on You, Crazy Diamond. But when you put the thing on and just hit play and let it play from start to finish, it all just clicks and it just works. It's just so good. Everything, Welcome to the Machine, Wish You Were Here, Shine on You, Crazy Diamond, everything. It's just brilliant. And Welcome to the Machine makes me feel like I'm flying. Can't explain why. It's just it just does. It just makes me want to put my arms up and think I'm flying. Um,
That's odd. I'm gonna have to go and listen to that after this.
yeah, just put the album on though. Don't because should has to. It's a second song, so you have to listen to "Shine on You, Crazy Diamond," which is about 8 or 9 minutes long, and then and it, and it's maybe just me. It's just how the music, affects me. It's just brilliant. Um, Definitely maybe Oasis. Just balls to the wall, rock and roll. Them two tricks. I don't want to. I won't go and see them. I don't want to give them any money. I've bought the albums repeatedly. That album is just still raw and rough and ready. And it's songs about fighting and fucking and drugs and, real shit. It's not pretentious, artsy fartsy stuff. And it's a lot of fucking um just working class boys just getting instruments and playing. And it just fucking worked. Um
Oasis is my British example of the difficulty of separating the artist from the art,
yeah,
because
absolutely.
they are assholes, but
Yes.
they did something no one else had done at that time.
Yeah.
They pushed a frontier and they did it well.
Yeah, the first couple of albums, and then possibly I tend to go for Master of Puppets, Metallica.
Very solid choice.
Just Paul, I'm getting to it. Relax. It's just love Metallica. You know what I mean? But then again, you could ask me next week, and I could put Night at the Opera between in a couple of weeks. It could be because I'm listening to Love Nothing But Thieves. Just love them, and fucking some of their stuff's brilliant. I'm listening to a bit of country at the minute, and there's an artist you were saying about raw guy just playing the guitar, a guy called Dylan Gossett. Um, he's an up and coming country artist. I downloaded his EP. It's 5 or 6 songs. Even if you just YouTube Cole by Dylan Gossett.
COAL.
Yeah, coal as in coal you burn the fire, and because the line in it, it's a brilliant line. It's just, say pressure makes diamonds, then why the hell am I still cold? And I just like the line, but it's brilliant. It's him acoustic guitar and just singing, and it's really, really good. No, I'm not a Rush fan. I hate Rush with a passion. Mr. Mustang, you take that back. Um, so so Paul wants to know. So we this has become a bit of a running joke within our wee community, right? Joey asks it every time, no matter who he has on his interviews. I mean, we're talking like semi-famous people, and we always ask this question. So, Queen or the Beatles?
Oh, Queen, definitely. I like the Beatles. No, sorry, I like some of the Beatles songs. But I like pretty much every Queen song. And yeah, Queen were just better.
See, so this is a throwback. So when I was still working from home during the pandemic, because of the time difference, JV said one night, "Do you want to do a music show?" It was a Wednesday night. I went, fuck it, because sleep here, get up, put my computer on, and work. And we did a knockout thing. It was literally bonds drawn against each other, and it was the best British band of all time. And Blake, being Blake, he's a big Beatles fan. But see, I love the Beatles, love the Beatles, and he he announced straight away, as Blake tends to do, if the Beatles don't win, there's something wrong. The best band, of all time. And really early on, Queen was up against somebody and they got through it, and the Beatles were saying, but literally in the second round, it became Queen versus the Beatles. And basically everybody on the panel got the vote, and there was enough votes that we put Queen through. And he bitched about it. He still bitches about it. So what it means is now it's become a running thing, and every time Joey interviews somebody, we always go, "Joey, have you asked the D question yet?" I'm coming here, and then he'll come, he'll ask, and I think Queen's winning because Queen are better than the Beatles at this point. So I love,
It's undeniable.
yeah. So that's us. That's bang onto ours. So thank you very much
God damn, that went quickly.
for doing this. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. This has been outside of my comfort zone, but enjoyable because it's been nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I'd say it's just like two friends talking. So it's just, and there's no gotchas. There's no, tell me about the first time the Scoutmaster fingered you. I'm not asking you questions like that,
It was back in '94. You're a good host. You handle this well.
What?
You're a good host. You handle this well. You've got the format nailed down, and you work it.
And there's BC. Hello, BC.
Woo.
So thank you very much. I appreciate you doing this. The first one in a while. I will be doing this more often, but not every week. And thank you very much. And for everybody that's in the chat now and everybody that was in the chat earlier, thank you for popping by. Miss Piggy popped in, but she didn't. Miss Piggy's normally one with millions of questions, So, but thank you everybody, and we're going to end the stream here. So,
thank you, folks. Have a good Friday.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.